Meeting of the Brick Township Council to order. Adequate notice of this meeting was provided and published in the Asbury Park Press and the Ocean Star on December 14, 2018. Copies of the agenda were provided to the newspaper, posted on public bulletin boards and the Township website. At this time, the VFW Post 8867 will present its colors. Please stand and remain standing through the invocation, which will be given by Deacon William Zapsik.
Now recite Pledge of Allegiance to America.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Order, halt.
Let us pause to reflect in reverence. Creator of all, giver of all gifts seen and unseen, we thank you for the gift of life. We thank you for choosing us to live in this land at this time so we can exercise the freedoms you gave us, inspired by the wisdom you shower upon us. We thank you for the gift of democracy, in which all voices are heard and considered as our leaders blaze a trail toward better days. We ask that you grant our mayor and council your gift of peace and understanding, that they may approach the matters they must handle with sincere and just hearts. For our leaders and for all of us, we ask that you watch over and guide our tongues, that we might not hurt the friends with whom we work for the betterment of our community. Graciously grant us the strength to always remain true to the principles on which America was founded. Protect us from harm and grant us health and prosperity, charity and justice, this year and always. Amen.
Amen.
Guard, to the rear, halt.
Thank you. You may be seated. I'm going to take the roll. Councilman Fosman.
Present.
Councilwoman Ponterero.
Here.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Here.
Councilman Mumolo.
Here.
Councilman Halloran.
Here.
Councilwoman Crate.
Here.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Here.
Thank you. At this time, I will call for nominations for the 2019 Council President.
I would like to nominate Councilwoman Zapsik. I just want to say a few words. Over the past 3 years, I've had the opportunity to work with Councilwoman Zapsik, and I find her to be one of the kindest, most professional and courteous people I've ever had the opportunity to work with. She's been a mentor to me over the past 3 years, and someone that I really look to for guidance on not only how things are run properly, but how to behave throughout, everything that goes on here during council meetings and outside in the public. She is someone to look up to, and honestly, in my eyes, she knows her stuff. She really does. She knows what she's doing, and she is very well versed in, law and the different things that we do in the township, and I think that she'd be the perfect nominee for president for this year.
I'll second that nomination.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, may I have a motion to close nominations?
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Thank you. Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Definitely yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Absolutely, yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crate.
Yes.
Councilwoman Zapsik.
Yes.
At this time, Mayor Ducey will swear in Council President Zapsik.
I, Andrea Zapsik, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Council President according to the best of my ability. And that I solemnly swear that I will support the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey, and that I will bear true faith and allegiance to the same and to the governments established in the United States and in this state under the authority of the people, so help me God. Alrighty then. I would like to call for nominations for the office of Council Vice President 2019 term, please.
I would like to nominate Councilwoman Crate. In Councilwoman Crate's years up here, she has been a tremendous asset to our council in the town. She is extremely knowledgeable, and she goes above and beyond learning and doing and experience things. She goes on ride-along. She goes to DPW to learn about all the trucks. She does not participates, but she watches all the active shooter drills. And then we're lucky enough that she creates events for our township, like the Take 5 photo contest. And if you go outside in the hallway, you'll see some of the submissions from this past October. And also, she brought the DPW trucks to our National Kids Night Out in August for a touch-a-truck, so our community and the kids can learn about what the DPW does. And she's also been working with our veterans, doing something you'll see coming up very shortly, something very special that she's been able to spearhead to honor our veterans in the township. So I would like to nominate Councilwoman Lisa Crate for Vice President.
I'll second that motion.
Are there any other nominations? Seeing none, may I have a roll call, please?
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Momolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Councilwoman Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
This time, may I ask Mayor Ducey to swear in Vice President Crate?
I, Lisa Craig, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully, impartially, and justly perform all the duties of the office of Council Vice President
This time, Mayor Ducey would like to make some opening remarks.
Thank you, Council President and Council Vice President. Congratulations to both, and look forward to working with you throughout 2019. I stood here on New Year's Day 2018, and I asked everybody to be kind to each other here in Brick. Spread the kindness throughout the town. While this idea might have fell flat on some people, other people, it actually took a foothold a little bit. Walking around town, either at Summerfest or some of our other events, or at the ShopRite, Stop and Shop, people came up and they said, "Well, you know, I heard what you said," and I kind of listened to it. So some of the examples I gave out last year, for those of you who weren't here, were when you're coming up to a jug handle and somebody's sitting in the jug handle, let them out in front of you. Or if you're trying to make a left, back in the old days at Olden and 70, where you couldn't let that person go first, or at 88 and Van Zyl, the same thing. There's numerous places all over town, obviously, that has that. Let the person make a left first before going straight. It kind of. So they say, you know, listen, I actually did that a few times. You know, clearing out a lane so you move to the left and somebody can make a right on red. Those types of things. Slow down and don't tailgate. Open a door, let somebody in. Let somebody go in front of you at the food store if they only have one or two things and you have 100 things. So residents have said they saw a difference even driving around Brick. And they actually felt better and improved their mood. And it wasn't when they actually when somebody let them make a left in front of them at 88 and Van Zyl. It was the times where they let somebody else make the left in front of them at 88 and Van Zyl. That's when they changed their mood and they said, you know, I did something nice, and it kind of like it'll come back to me someday. So it was somewhat successful, I think, because I heard from people and strangers, these total strangers that are coming up to me. And they were happy when they, you know, when they were the ones who let the person in front of them with only one or two items go in front of them. And you know, hopefully it catches on even more. So keep it up, and keep up the kindness in 2019. But this year I just wanted to kind of focus on family for this year. So family means a lot of different things to a lot of people. I'm going to describe what it means to me, while you can reflect on what family may mean to you. So to me, family is about love, it's about support, and it's about improving lives of your family members. So my family, you know, so to speak, in the technical terms, or the most common, is my wife, my son, and my just brought home yesterday puppy. It's my mom and my sister, and then it's all my in-laws. My wife has a big family, nieces, nephews, and so forth. So that's a traditional family, and those are people who I love every single day. And my next family is my town hall family. So a large portion of this large family, and it's a large family. There's hundreds of people who work for Town Hall between all the different places here in Town Hall. People might not realize, they think Brick, a lot of people still think Brick is a small town. We have 85,000 people, and we have a large town hall. And even in the summer it gets even bigger because we have our beaches, which are awesome. So a large portion of our large family, well, they were hurting when I became mayor. There were job threats and layoffs. There was promotions that were being made from outside people. Morale was super low. And unfortunately, low morale reflects a lot of times in poor work product. But more importantly, who cares about that, right? You care about the actual person. It's unhealthy for that person to have to go underneath that stress and have that low morale because of something they have to go to every day. We're all forced to work unless you're a millionaire, you won the lottery at some point, or you're lucky enough to be retired. We're all forced to work. So why not have a good place where you work? And that unhealthiness, if you are unhealthy and have that low morale, it's going to reflect back on your family, that small family that we all super care about, right? The wife, the husband, the kids, the new puppy, the aunts and uncles, everything else. So our town hall is awesome employees. They're an awesome bunch of people, individually as people, not just as employees. We all know our police department was voted the best of the best. We all know our DPW had the highest marks in town in our town-wide survey, and we all know our rec department gets awards on a yearly basis. But we also have other people in all sorts of other departments here that, you know, for whatever reason, it just doesn't come up. When you're at a council meeting, you're talking about a new park. You're talking about, you know, the Asbury Park Press, where you get this award, and DPW, and the fact that they did a great job plowing and all that. But we have so many other people here in Town Hall. We have a whole great clerk's office. We have and senior services. And I'm not talking about individual. I'm talking about as a group, it's unbelievable, and as individuals, both. Great tax collector, tax assessor, building department, zoning department, engineering, land use, EMS, parks, courts, code enforcement, IT, purchasing, building and grounds, sign shop, marina, beaches, preschool, mechanics, drivers, police administration staff, dispatchers, archives, laborers, road crew, the hill people, clerical staff, all throughout the town in all these different departments. Front desk, my assistant, finance office, HR, administration, call center, plowers, and on and on. These people that's what makes the backbone of our great town, is the great family that we have of people here in Town Hall. When I say Town Hall, I mean obviously all the other buildings and the other areas of town. I'm saying as a town, the employees. So we aren't perfect, but we are a family, and each and every person is part of the family, and the families all each support each other. So you have every department helping each other out. There's a lot of changes that we are undergoing. Those changes, or promotions, if you want to call them that, are coming from within, and those promotions are coming from within because you work for those positions, and hard work pays off. I don't promote or hire for important positions from outside. I did that once with the business administrator, and it was a great choice. But every single department has a department head. Yes, the business administrator is at the top of that chain. Every department has a department head. And assistants, a lot of times there's assistants and supervisors and things like that. And that's what should be promoted from within, because that's what you want to do. You want to strive. You want to have something that you're looking forward to and you're working hard and you want to achieve. And that's what families do. They support each other. So we have a new DPW director and a purchasing agent, and we're having this very soon to be new zoning officer and tax assessor. And as we move forward, there's going to be other positions. People are always going to be moving on. But those people who are going to be moving on, they're going to be going on to retire, and they're going to remember the great time they had here in Brick Township. But there's also going to be the people who are moving up and taking those places and being ready to step into those spots. And those people are going to come from within, from our family, and boosting people up. I promise to support each and every department. You are all important and all appreciated by me and by administration. You are also appreciated by each other, and you know that. They're your brothers and sisters. They're your aunts and uncles or your grandparents, depending on how old you are and how old they are, right? So you need to support each other, and you have been doing that. And that's why there is the high morale that we have. Every resident appreciates it as well. I get compliments all the time about how smooth things are running here in Town Hall, how different things are now, and that's because you, my Town Hall family, for all the hard work that you've done. And I know a number of you are over on this side, and behind. So thank you. Lastly, the residents of Brick. You're my largest family. Improving lives. So I talk about love, I talk about support, talk about improving lives. As mayor, I get to meet so many of the residents and spend time with you at all of our great social events around town, or see you at our filled shopping centers around town. For that large family, want to improve your lives. How do you improve people's lives from this standpoint when you're not directly? I'm talking about small family, what I can do for my son, what I can do for the new puppy. I'm talking about the large family. So what do you want? You want to probably stay here, because this is probably where your family is, right? What prevents people from staying here in New Jersey? Taxes. So our budget has only increased 3% over the 5 years as me being mayor, compared to the previous 5 years where it increased 25%. Low taxes keep people wanting to be here, keep families together, and keep our town as the greatest town in this entire state and probably this country. Just not warm enough, right, for some people. Speaking of the state, in 2018, they increased their spending by 8% in 1 year. That forces people to move out. That forces people to leave their families here and they move south, or maybe move up to Maine. I think our state should learn from what we did here in Brick. Stabilize taxes, stabilize actually. And just when you raise taxes, you have to raise it because of increases in costs. So the cost of health insurance might go up, the cost of gas might go up. Those are the things that should cause a tax raise, not the fact that you want to start new programs and expensive programs and expensive ideas without any means to fund them except for the taxpayers' backs. That's not what we're about. We are about, here in Brick Township, of being very, very fiscally conservative and spend when you have to spend. There's things that need to be spent. You need to pave your roads. We need to do new parks. A lot of people might think parks, we're wasting money on parks. Parks is what brings families together. Families, what we should be about in 2019. That's kind of a little bit of a breakdown of America, is that our families are falling apart. Parks are what bring families together. They bring neighbors together. They bring neighbors together, which makes a bigger family. That's what we have here in Brick, and we want to expand upon. We've reduced debt. So it's another way that we improved our finances in town, again, to keep expenses low. I did promise by this day, when I became mayor, and when I became mayor a second time, that we would have reduced debt today by $7.5 million. In fact, it has been a lot more. We've reduced our debt since the day I became mayor, $22.9 million. That helps our economy, that helps our fiscal constraints, and in order to be fiscally responsible and strong, all with the help of the council. I'm not mentioning anybody's names here tonight, if you notice, because as a family, we're all one. And that's why I'm not mentioning anybody by name, whether you're a department head or whether you're the laborer, whatever the case may be in between, or a council member. It's fiscally responsible that make our town strong and a desirable place to move or to open a business. Our parks are renovated with Bernie Cook next. Now that's a name, but it's really the name of a park. Bernie Cook next, and then Bayside, and then Cedar Bridge Manor Park after that. This year we have our 25th anniversary of Summerfest, and it's going to be kicked off, that 25th anniversary, on July 4th. So it is going to be probably the biggest Summerfest of all time, 25th anniversary and on July 4th. It's going to be the best year yet. It's a chance for families to get together, meet your neighbors, bring your friends, have a great time. We're increasing the buses, make it easier for people to get there. It's stressful. Am I going to get there? Am I going to get a parking spot? Not get a parking spot. We're going to increase where the buses are coming from and increase the amount of buses because we're going to have that many people, making it even more family friendly. We're going to be doing more with our teen center to give kids all the great things to do. We're going to see some awesome family options open as far as private businesses that came here. Gravity Vault is going to be opening. The Sports Dome hopefully will be opening by this time next year. Brand new restaurants like Rosalita's and Trey that aren't chains and not fast food. And these places give young people a place to work, a place to hang out, and a healthy environment, and a place to have fun instead of doing something they shouldn't be doing out in the street. Our farmers market, very, very successful. Going to keep that ongoing and find more and better vendors. Our community garden, find more and better crops to grow. Our Challenger programs, add more and more to that every single day. Keep on adding our social events. We've added the daddy and daddy-daughter dances and then the mommy and prince dances. We're starting a new service for our seniors. It's a new busing service. Right now, our seniors are able to take buses over to our senior center. Unfortunately, they are school buses. And when I say unfortunately, I don't mean anything against the schools, but if you're in a wheelchair or even have a walker or a cane and you can't go up those big steps in a school bus, you're not getting transportation to our senior facility. So we've been working on, since the business administrator got here, again, I'm not saying any names, we've been working on trying to get a bus through a grant so we didn't have to put the burden on our taxpayers, and we're finally able to obtain that bus. So as of June 1st, we will be having our own buses, and those buses will be handicap accessible with that elevator ramp that would be able to get anybody in a wheelchair, anybody in a walker, with a cane. All those people are now going to be able to go to our senior center and all the services that we have there, which are many. There's lunch every day, yes, and a lot of people know about that. But there is things like Tai Chi, there is ballroom dancing, there is painting, there is reading club, there's help with your taxes, help choosing your Medicare plan, all those great things that our senior services do and that everybody's going to be part of coming June 1st. Brick is for all ages, all people. I can't stand up here. I'd be up here way too long, and I would get yelled at by council people for being up here. They might be complaining already, but it's for all ages. I could tell you a lot more things about what we do here in Brick. But all ages and all people want to be here. That's why there's new neighborhoods. There's new houses. People want to build single-family houses. There's at least 2 that I know of that'll be going up and probably be built by this time next year. People want to move here, single-family houses. Businesses want to be here so much that there's a lot of construction going on. People, businesses, our residents, and we all love Brick. 2019 is the year of the family in Brick. No matter how small, there is always love. No matter how big, there is always support. No matter how overwhelming, you always try to improve the lives of your family. We are Brick and we are family, so treat everyone with respect and kindness and treat them as if they were your family, even if they're somebody who you don't know. If they're in Brick, they're part of your family. And please enjoy 2019. It will be a great year for all of us, and I look forward to working with every single resident, as well as the council, the administration, and the entire township. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, I would like to ask Councilwoman DeYoung to join me at the podium for a presentation. So it's hard to believe that 5 years have gone by, but it's been 5 years since I joined this council. And when I came into this, not knowing what I was getting myself into, everyone on the dais was very, very helpful. But Councilwoman DeYoung, you took the lead in helping me kind of get acclimated to this whole thing. This year, you took that leadership to a whole new level by leading us through as council president. It's not an easy job, and I have a feeling I'm going to get schooled on exactly what how easy it is not. But on behalf of your colleagues on the council, it's my pleasure to be able to present this to you, this plaque, in recognition of your dedication and hard work while serving as president of the Brick Township Council for 2018. Thank you so very much. Okay. We're on to the mayor's appointment. Mayor Ducey.
Thank you. So a reorganization meeting, you're going to hear a lot of names over the next 45 minutes to an hour, and I get to start them off. I didn't say any names up there, right? Now I get to say them all. So if you are here, if you wouldn't mind, if you can stand. There's a lot of people, even though they're being appointed, there's a lot of people on this list who I actually have never met. We went off of the resumes that were submitted. And I just want to make sure if you're here, if you can, stand and just be acknowledged. We don't necessarily have to clap for you unless you'd like that. But so first we have Architectural Review Committee. It's Michael Webb, Anthony Zarilli, Alyssa Cummins, and Tara Paxton. Our BMAC committee is myself, Council President Andrea Zapsik, Chief Jim Riccio, Earl Mosley, Nina Retino, Emma Mamano, Gary LaRosa, well, it's all my Irish friends, you can tell, Carol Jordan, Brian Mursky, Marilyn Lago, Pastor Douglas G. Chase, Susan and John Covington, John McFadden, who's our youth representative in the South, high school student, Krista Grev, Lindsay Dunnels, Diane Halloran Johnson, Johanna Palmieri, Dawn Olissi, Roberta Cartwright, Bernadette Richings, Carol Steiter, Madison Barasia, Ed Bucher, Mike Tulene Sr., and Anna Delanoy. Environmental Commission is Richard Opiekin, Emily Robertson, Joanne Lambusta, who's the Planning Board representative, Henry Gaida, Jill Kowalski. Historic Preservation Commission, Jean Donatello, Vienna Warwick, Catherine Reed, and Deborah O'Brien. Planning Board, Joanne Lambusta, and William Phillipson. Property Maintenance Board, Stephen Brill, Ed Bucher, Joe Gilsonen, James Hogan, Sandra Thomas, Joanne Bergen, Rich DeGennaro, and Daniel Newman. And Shade Tree Commission, Suzanne Dyer. And lastly, Sustainable Brick Township, Bob Checkeye, Councilwoman Lisa Crate, John Hyphantis, Ken Mathis, Jessica Clayton, Steve Speck, Tara Paxton, Sharon Erculiani, Lisa Marzetti, Sarah Rose Christodoulou, sorry, Paul Kurtz, Joseph Lamb, and Brian Mursky. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. At this time, we're on to the consent agenda. Madam Clerk.
All matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any item, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately.
Thank you. Resolution 16-1, establish council meeting dates 2019. This resolution establishes the council meeting dates for 2019. Resolution 16-2, establish bank depositories cash management plan 2019. Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. This resolution adopts a cash management plan and establishes bank depositories as part of that plan. The cash management plan is an annual requirement for all municipalities and is developed by our CFO in accordance with local public finance affairs law.
Thank you. Resolution 16-3, authorize payment of the township's 2019 debt service. Mayor.
Thank you. So this authorization authorizes the payment of the township debt service for 2019. As part of my debt reduction plan when I first became mayor, we have reduced the net debt of the township by $22.9 million. That's since 2014. And then with this debt service, we will reduce the net debt of the township by at least another $2.5 million during 2019, which includes the anticipated approval of an $8.5 million capital program. Like I said, you still have to spend money on capital projects, parks, roads, drainage, and as well as vehicles and fleets and DPW trucks and equipment and police cars and all that stuff. So we're still doing the $8.5 million program, but we're still going to be able to shave another $2.5 million of debt at least. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 16-4, authorize 2019 temporary budget. Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the adoption of a temporary budget, which must be done within the first 30 days of January so that commitments and payments can be made prior to the adoption of our 2019 budget.
Thank you. Resolution 16-5, designate public agency compliance officer. Mrs. Bergen.
Sure. This resolution designates Township Purchasing Agent Jane Kopeka as Brick Township's Public Agency Compliance Officer for a one-year period. The New Jersey Department of the Treasury Affirmative Action Office requires that municipalities designate an official to act as liaison to serve as Public Agency Compliance Officer.
Thank you. Resolution 16-6, designate agent for taxing district regarding Ocean County Board of Taxation. Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. This resolution designates the tax assessor or municipal attorney as authorized to act as the agent for the taxing district during the year of 2019 and to execute stipulations of settlement on any tax appeal or complaint filed by the taxing district or by a taxpayer in the year 2019.
Thank you. Resolution 16-7, authorize petty cash funds. Mrs. Bergen.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes petty cash funds as needed in the Township Clerk's Office, Police Department, Public Works, Land Use, and Parks Departments.
Thank you. Resolution 16-8, authorize advice and consent for fair and open professional services, contract with Township Attorney. Councilman Mumolo.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes approval for a contract award to be made to Starkey, Kelly, Keneally, Cunningham, and Turnback, Toms River, New Jersey, as Township Attorney.
Thank you. Resolution 16-9, authorize advice and consent for fair and open professional services contract with Municipal Public Defender, Alternate, and Conflict Public Defender. Councilwoman Pontorero.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution authorizes the contract award to be made to Matthew R. Sage of Toms River as Municipal Public Defender and as Alternate Public Defender, Brian J. DeStefano of Bayville, Charles P. Tivnan of Brick, Lee Klein of Lakewood, and Montenegro Thompson, Montenegro and Gens of Brick, and Conflict Public Defender Brian J. DeStefano of Bayville, Charles P. Tivnan, again of Brick, Lee Klein, again of Lakewood, Montenegro Thompson, Montenegro and Gens of Brick, and Sin Fitzgermans, Cantoli, Bogan West, and Stewerman of Point Pleasant Beach.
Thank you. Resolution 1610, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for legal counsel for redevelopment issues. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with McManaman, Scotland, and Bauman, Roseland as legal counsel for redevelopment issues.
Thank you. Resolution 1611, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for township auditor. Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with Fallon and Company, LLP, Hazlitt, as a municipal auditor.
Thank you. Resolution 1612, authorize the mayor to enter into the fair and open professional services contract for professional account services. This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with Bowman and Company of Voorhees for professional accountant services. Resolution 1613, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for Affordable Housing Council. Councilwoman DeYoung.
This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with Renaud Coughlin Mancello LLC of Island for Affordable Housing Council.
Thank you. Resolution 1614, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for legal services pool. This resolution authorizes professional services contracts be made to a pool of professionals in several categories. In the attorney pool, Barker, Geflin, James, and Sarves in Linwood, Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, Jacobs of Matawan, Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin, Teaneck, DeFrancesco, Bateman, Kunzman, Davis, Lair, and Flaum and Warren, Durkin and Durkin, West Caldwell, Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt, and Capelli, Phillipsburg, Gertner and Gertner, Jackson, Gluck, Walrath, Red Bank, Grace Marmero and Associates, Woodbury, Inglesino, Webster, Wiscalla, and Taylor, Parsippany, Kelleher, Van Dyke, and Moriarty, Toms River, Kevin B. Reardon, Esquire, Toms River, King, Kittrick, Jackson, and McWeeny, Brick, Leitner, Tort, DeFazio, and Browse, Edison, Montenegro, Thompson, Montenegro, and Gens, Brick, Raynone, Coughlin, Mancello, Island, Roth, Diaquini, Springfield, Sicaire, Hensel, and Hensel, Toms River, Wiener Law Group, Red Bank. For Labor Council, the pool consists of Barker, Geflin, James, and Sarves, Linwood, Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, Jacobs, Matawan, Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin, Teaneck, DeFrancesco, Bateman, Kunzman, Davis, Lair, and Flaum, Warren, Florio, Perucci, Steinhardt, Capelli, Phillipsburg, Gluck, Walrath, Red Bank, Inglesino, Webster, Wicascala, and Taylor, Parsippany, Kevin B. Reardon, Esquire, Toms River, and Raynone, Coughlin, Mancello, Island. Tax Appeals Council. The pool consists of Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, Jacobs, Matawan, Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, Giblin, Teaneck, DeFrancesco, Bateman, Kunzman, Davis, Lair, and Flaum, Warren, Inglesino, Webster, Wicsalit, and Taylor, Parsippany, Kevin B. Reardon, Esquire, Toms River, Starkey, Kelly, Keneally, Cunningham, and Turnback, Toms River. And Tax Foreclosure Council, Dakotas, Fitzpatrick, Cole, and Giblin, Teaneck, and Goldenberg, Mackler, Saya, Mintz, Pfeffer, Bonchi, and Gill, Northfield. Council, resolutions 1615, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for engineering services pool. Council Vice President Crate.
This resolution authorizes professional services contracts be made to a pool of professionals including engineering surveying pool, ACT Engineers Robbinsville, Adams Raymond and Hagen, Associates Hamilton, Brightview Engineering Roseland, CME Associates Howell, French and Perello Associates Wall, Gedeon Engineering Princeton, H2M Associates Howell, Leon S. Avakian Consulting Engineers Neptune, LS Engineering Associates Montville, Mazer Consulting Red Bank, Matrix New World Engineering Eatontown, Mid-Atlantic Engineering Partners Brielle, Mott MacDonald Freehold, Nigerian Associates Eatontown, Prestige Environmental, Inc., Somerset, Suburban Consulting Engineers, Flanders, T&M Associates, Toms River, Van Cleef Engineering Associates, Hillsborough, and WJH Engineering, Manasquan. Environmental Engineer, ACT Engineers, Robbinsville, Adams, Raymond, and Hagen Associates, Hamilton, CME Associates, Howell, French and Perello Associates, Wall. Hold on, I gotta turn the page. There's more. Mazer Consulting, Red Bank, Mid-Atlantic Engineering Partners, Brielle, Mott MacDonald, Freehold, Nigerian Associates, Eatontown, Prestige Environmental, Inc., Somerset, and Suburban Consulting Engineers, Flanders. Dredging Engineer, ACT Engineers, Robbinsville, CME Associates, Howell, Leon S. Avakian Consulting Engineers, Neptune, Mazer Consulting, Red Bank, Mid-Atlantic Engineering Partners, Brielle, Mott MacDonald, Freehold, Rue Engineering, Toms River, and Suburban Consulting Engineers, Flanders. Traffic Engineer, Brightview Engineering, Roseland, CME Associates, Howell, Gedeon Engineering, Princeton, Mazer Consulting, Red Bank, Mott MacDonald, Freehold, and Suburban Consulting Engineers, Flanders.
Thank you. Resolution 1616, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for architectural services pool. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes professional services contracts to be made to a pool of professionals including Architects Design Group, Winter Park, Florida, Architectural Design Associates, Clifton, Barlow, Governale, and Associates, Brick, the Goldstein Partnership, Maplewood, the Mutual Group Architecture, Mountainside, Netta Architects, Mountains in Woodbury Heights, Stefan Rosidi Architects, Red Bank, Tokarski and Milliman Architects, Wall, Wayne A. Neville, West Berlin, and Yezi Associates, Toms River.
Thank you. Resolution 1617, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for bond counsel. Councilman Mumolo, please.
Thank you, Council President. Resolution authorizes a professional service contract with Walentz, Goldman, and Spitzer Woodbridge for bond counsel. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1618, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for financial advisor. This resolution authorizes a professional service contract with NW Financial Services Group, Hoboken, for financial advisor. Resolution 1619, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for property appraisal, property inspection services pool. Councilwoman Pontorero.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes professional services contract for appraisal property inspection services pool to Henry J. Mancini and Associates Incorporated of Manahawkin and Starmark Appraisals LLC of Lakewood. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1620, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for property maintenance board attorney. Councilman Mumolo, please.
This resolution authorizes a professional service contract with Charles D. Bauer, Brick Township, for property maintenance board attorney.
Thank you. Resolution 1621, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for hearing officer. Councilwoman DeYoung.
This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with Kevin B. Reardon of Toms River for hearing officer.
Thank you. Resolution 1622, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for animal control officer services. Council Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes a professional services contract with A Academy of South Jersey, Howell, for animal control officer.
Thank you. Resolution 1623, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for planning services pool. Councilman Halloran.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes professional services contracts to be made to a pool of professionals including Adams, Raymond, and Hagen, Hamilton, Brightview Engineering, Roseland, CME Associates, Howell, Leon S. Avakian, Inc., and Neptune, Mazer Consulting in Red Bank, and Tetra Tech in Parsippany. Planning Board and Board of Adjustment Conflict Planner, Adams, Raymond, and Hagan and Hamilton, Brightview Engineering in Roseland, CME Associates in Howell, and Leon S. Avakian Incorporated in Neptune. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1624, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for code enforcement prosecutor. Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. The aforementioned services contract is made to Lonnie M. Lombardi of the firm Cleary, Giacobbe, Alfieri, and Jacobs of Madawan for code enforcement prosecutor. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1625, authorize mayor to enter into fair and open professional services contract for veterinary services. Councilwoman DeYoung, please.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes the award of contract for veterinary services on an as-needed basis to Cedars Veterinary Hospital Brick and Jersey Shore Veterinary Emergency Service Lakewood.
Thank you. Resolution 1626, authorize purchasing agent to enter into certain contracts for purchases and services with certain vendors under state contracts. Ms. Bergen, please.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the purchasing agent to enter into agreements on behalf of the township for the performance of work or the furnishing of materials, equipment, or supplies in accordance with state statute.
Thank you. Resolution 1627, authorize execution of a Schedule C agreement with the County of Ocean for 2019. Ms. Bergen, please.
Sure. This resolution authorizes the execution of a Schedule C agreement with the County of Ocean. The county provides certain goods and services if needed to municipalities like Brick Township. We are then charged labor and equipment rates as outlined in the agreement. These services include mowing, snow plowing, road overlay, traffic signal repair, and vehicle maintenance services. Many of these services we do in-house, so we rarely use the county, but we do participate in each year in the event we have a project that would be a good fit for the program.
Thank you. Resolution 1628, authorize rebid proposals, municipal prosecutor, alternate, and conflict. Ms. Bergen, please.
Certainly. This resolution authorizes the rebid of proposals for municipal prosecutor, alternate prosecutor, and conflict prosecutor. The 3 bids received were rejected due to fatal flaws resulting in the need to rebid.
Thank you. Resolution 1629, Performance Inspection Fund Release, U.S. Construction, Iroquois Drive. Madam Clerk, please.
Yes, thank you. This resolution authorizes the Performance Bond Inspection Fund release in the amount of $3,930.84 be returned to U.S. Construction, Philadelphia for site improvements at Block 880, Lot 12.01.
Thank you. Resolution 1630, authorize execution of Memorandum of Agreement, Transport Workers Union Local 220. This resolution authorizes a memorandum of a 4-year agreement with the Transport Workers Union Local 220 with a 3% total cost of contract increase. Resolution 1631, authorize 2 members and 1 alternate 1 and 1 alternate 2 to Board of Adjustment. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the appointment of Carl Anderson and Louis Sorrentino to the Board of Adjustment for a 4-year term. Michelle Strassheim as an alternate 1 for a 2-year term, and Lori Burns as an alternate 2 member to fill a 2-year unexpired term. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1632, authorize appointment of 1 commissioner and 1 alternate 2 to the BTMUA. Councilman Mumolo, please.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution authorizes the appointment of Thomas Curtis as a member of the Brick Township Municipal Utilities Authority for a 5-year term, and Jason Kiernan as an alternate 2 member for a 5-year term.
Thank you. Resolution 1633, authorize appointments to the Property Maintenance Board. Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes, this resolution authorizes the following appointments to the Property Maintenance Board. Edward Bucher, Stephen Brill, Jill Gillisonen, James Hogan, Sandra Thomas, and alternates Joanne Bergen and Richard DeGennaro.
Thank you. Resolution 1634, authorize appointments to the Tourist Development Commission. Council Vice President Crate.
Thank you. This resolution authorizes the appointments of Mort Nace, Nicholas D'Angelo, and Sam Ekwat to the Tourism Development Commission.
Thank you. Resolution 1635, authorize appointments to the Ethics Information Committee. Councilwoman Pontoriero, please.
Thank you, Madam President. This resolution authorizes the following appointments to the Ethics Information Committee: Councilwoman Heather DeYoung, Councilman Paul Mumolo, Councilwoman Andrea Zapsik, Jim Perno, Sarah Schrocky, and Erin Wheeler. Thank you.
Thank you. Resolution 1636, authorize appointments to the Sustainable Brick Township Committee. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you, Council President. This resolution authorizes the following appointments to the Sustainable Brick Township Committee. Mayor John Ducey, designee. Robert Sizjak, Checkak. Thank you. Council President, designee, Councilwoman Lisa Crate. Tara Paxton, Municipal Planner Ken Mathis, Department of Public Works Representative Stephen Speck, Brick Township Municipal Utilities Authority Representative, Brick Township Board of Education Representative Sarah Ecoliani, Environmental Commission Representative, Brick, Mirsky Chamber of Commerce Representative John Hyphantis, Resident Paul Kurtz, Resident Joseph Lamb, Resident Sarah Rose Christodolo, Resident Lisa Marzetti, resident.
Thank you. Resolution 1637, authorize appointment of Class 3 Planning Board member. Councilwoman DeYoung, please.
This resolution authorizes the appointment of Councilman Paul Mumolo as a Class 3 member of the Planning Board and the Architectural Review Committee for a one-year term.
Thank you. Resolution 38A, recognize 2019 incoming officers of the Bretton Woods Fire Company. Councilwoman DeYoung, please.
Yes, thank you. The new officers of the Bretton Woods Fire Company, number 1, are President William Curtis, Secretary John Rotundo, Treasurer Brandon Edmondson, Trustees Steve Gerling, Christopher Fredericks, and John Rotundo, Chief Thomas Bisbal, Assistant Chief Brian Streiter, Captain Barry Wenner, First Lieutenant Edwin Ramos, and Safety Officer Christopher Fredericks.
Thank you. Resolution 38B, recognize 2019 incoming officers of the Herbertsville Fire Company. Councilman Fosman, please.
Thank you. The new officers of the Herbertsville Fire Company number 1 are Mark Christensen, President, Vice President Angelo Natoli, Treasurer Barry Osborne, Secretary John Palovitz, and Assistant Treasurer James J. Lepore, Chief David Sanchez, Assistant Chief Daniel Sanchez, Captain James Scott, and Safety Officer Christopher Matsur and Mark Christensen.
Thank you. Resolution 38C, recognize 2019 incoming officers, Laurelton Fire Company. Council Vice President Crate, please.
The new officers of the Laurelton Fire Company number 1 are President Robert Contreras, Vice President Leonard Figula, Recording Secretary Michael Scott, Corresponding Secretary Stephen Nowacki, Sergeant at Arms Jim Holsert, Trustees Jeff Richards, John Heffern Sr., Robert Skillman, Charles Turner, and Michael Siriakis. Chief Paul Joseph Mazzio Jr., Assistant Chief Christopher Ackerman, Captains David Barenberg, Joseph Zielinski, and Thomas Bennett.
Thank you. Resolution 38D, recognize 2019 incoming officers, Pioneer Hose Fire Company. Councilman Halloran, please.
Thank you. The new officers of Pioneer Hose Company number 1 are President Francis Devaney, Vice President Michael Berger, Secretary Ilana Beck, Treasurer Vincent Piscatola, Chief Ron Gaskill, Jr., Assistant Chief Peter Quinlan, Lieutenant Vincent Piscatola, Second Lieutenant Bill Magnuson, Engineer John Koister, Division Captain Francis Devaney, and Trustees Gary Avazir, Peter Quinlan, Joseph Sansone, Edward Slowinski, and Walter Eaton.
Thank you.
Thank you.
That ends the consent agenda. At this time, I'd like to open up to council.
I have a question, Council President.
Yes, Councilman Bosman.
I would like to pull 1630 from the consent agenda, and I'll tell you why. I received a scathing 3-page anonymous letter in the mail at my home, detailing many horrible allegations regarding abuse, behavior towards employees, one of which has to do with the contract on this agenda. Due to the legal reasons, this cannot be discussed in public at this time. Since the letter was addressed to the honorable members of the Brick Township Council and CC to Mayor Ducey, I'm sure my colleagues can agree this anonymous accusation of gross misconduct must be taken very seriously. With that, I make a motion to pull 1630 from this consent agenda until an internal investigation can be completed. Council President, will you please call for a second on the motion?
Is there a second on the motion?
All right, this council, along with the mayor, has a responsibility to investigate any potential wrongdoings that would rot the integrity of our local government and should not permit abusive behavior of anyone for any reason. Thank you.
Thank you.
Go on. Can I give it to the clerk, copy of my papers to the clerk?
Absolutely. Anyone else from council? Seeing none, may I have a motion and a second to move the consent agenda?
Motion.
Second. Motion by Councilman Halloran, seconded by Council Vice President Crate. Open to public. Mr. Finelli. All I could see was the hand. I had to look.
Vic Finelli, I have my questions and George's questions, but I'm not going to tell you who owns which. Thank you. First question, item 3, debt service. I heard the mayor say several times, and I appreciate the fact that net debt has gone down from 2014 to, I don't know what it is today, but I think you threw out a number of like 22 million. Yet when I look at what's on the agenda today for item number 3, it says debt service 15.4 million. The last year I have debt service was 2017, and that was 13.4 million. So my question is, if our net service, net debt has gone down, how come our net service has gone up almost $2 million?
So which year would you like the net debt from?
Okay, I'm looking at today on the agenda, item 3, it says your net debt service is $15.4 million.
That's
Right?
for,
That's item 3. Right, bottom of the page I'm looking at.
that's our payment.
That's your payment, yeah, your debt service, what you got to pay on your debt, 15.4 million.
Yeah.
All right, I'm looking at the 2017 debt service, and it's 13.493 million, so it went up almost $2 million. If our net debt has gone down, how come our debt payment has gone up?
I don't know. Maybe interest rates? I don't know the answer to that. Why'd the payment go up? He's saying not that. The debt's gone down, but he's saying our payment last year was only 13 million, and now this year it's 15
I
million.
said 2017.
Or
The last year I have is 13.4, and I also notice, as every time the actual debt has gone down, the debt payment has gone down. So if we continue to go down on the debt, how come we have to see almost a $2 million more in the budget to pay off debt service?
So the net debt went from 168 million to 2014 down to 2019 with $145 million.
It's 145?
145 million
Okay.
net debt.
Yeah, I could have gave him that.
Yet, on today's agenda, item 3, it says total debt service $15,370,445, which is $2 million more than 2017. If the debt goes down, I would expect the debt service to go down, but it didn't, it went up. So my question is, somebody tell me why?
Well, we're reducing the net debt.
Mo says she knows.
Come on, Billy, I'll out for you, like you draft the borrow agreement, debt is not repayment. They're two different things. Your repayment is not your net. Your net is what's accumulated over the years. Our payment went up, obviously the net is going to go down.
Is this, let me ask a question.
That's the payment.
I didn't mean to get you, but I got you.
No, the CFO's right here saying she hasn't answered your question.
Okay.
Do you want to go on to your next question, Mr. Finelli, while Maureen
Okay.
gets the answer?
My next question has to do with professional services. And I just want a clarification of how they actually work. Let me pick one out here. Let me tell you what it says. The mayor has reviewed the proposals and is satisfied with the qualifications and experience of the firms which are subject to such an award, whereas the mayor has recommended the firms listed below be retained for the purpose of providing the services on an hourly basis. Is it actually your call, or is that just what it says?
Somewhat. So for the pools, I personally wouldn't name all these people because it just seems like it's too many, but our purchasing agent said you have to have a reason not to name somebody, so when I don't have a reason not to name somebody, it's just that it was too many of them, I thought. I didn't know if we needed 15 engineers. So so yes and no. Yes, it was my call. I would have had less, but the purchasing agent wanted all of them on there.
I didn't say engineering, by the way. I was very
Oh,
vague.
I'm just, whatever.
I just read, so.
Pick one out. I just picked one out.
No, I picked one out. But basically it says you pick the people that are going into the pool.
Yeah,
Okay, so that's mostly on you.
yeah. I would have done less. That's the only
Okay.
thing.
And then, once you have a pool of like 12 names, and then something comes up, let's use architect as an example. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 12 architectural firms on the page, right? When it comes time
What
to-
number?
Oh, number 16. I'm on
16.
architect, whatever that one is. Yeah, number 16, architects.
Yeah, I got 13. 13.
All right, whatever, there's a group of architects. Now, when an architectural job comes up, right, you have 13 architectural firms to choose from. Is that your call also on which one you pick?
Yes. So basically what we would do is we would ask for, in case of the architecture, we would ask for their charge, basically, like, hey, how much would you charge us to do such and such a project?
Oh,
And
so
then-
you would put out an RFP or something similar to that?
Nah, it's a request for bid. It's just a letter saying, here's the project and what would your services cost?
Oh.
What's an estimate of your services?
And then you just go with the cheapest bidder?
You could. You could. It's not a requirement, but you could.
Okay. I was going back there.
But if you have, this isn't the most recent one, this is 2017.
I know, that's what I said, 2017, I said that.
Okay.
I said since 2017, which was 13 million, it went up.
But if you come see me, I have this updated to 2019, it goes down. This is, you can't refer to 2019's budget with the 2017
Document.
copy of what you have.
Sure, I can.
Okay.
Let me,
No, our CFO is offering to meet with him and explain everything. I think that's a very generous offer.
I just want you to be clear on what I did, all right, and what I'm asking. I'm looking at 2017, which is the last year I have.
Okay.
Debt service says 13,493,000.
Okay.
That's what the debt service was in 2017. I realize we're 2 years later, we're now at 2019, and debt service is 15 million and change.
Right.
So debt service from 2017 to 2019 went up $2 million, although
Because we're paying off more of our debt.
you're paying off.
We're paying off more of our debt. That's exactly what his comments were.
Okay,
We're paying off more of our debt, so therefore our debt is reduced.
Or that's going to go down at least another $2.5 million this year because we're
Okay.
paying more off.
okay. I just was curious that every other year that I see that happening, the debt service actually went down every year from 2014. It went down, but now all of a sudden it went up. But,
Going down, Mr. Zelli. If you come to see me tomorrow, I'll show you the printout.
okay,
And it's going down. Net debt is going down, like the mayor has told you.
okay. I'll be around tomorrow.
And debt service and net debt are two separate subjects.
Okay. My last question had to do with item 30, which is the contract. Let me get that out. First of all, I realize John is sitting behind me. Don't take it personal, John. I ask questions about every contract, all right? Okay. Okay, good. First thing was, I had a bunch of questions, you just added one. You said the contract was 3%, but everything that I read says 2.5%.
The overall cost of the contract.
So there were things given besides 2.5% pay raises.
Ms. Bergen, can you explain what went into the calculations for
Sure.
that?
Everything we discussed with all of our bargaining units, we talked about what their priorities were for their members. And each of those items that we talked about would have a math calculation to it. So if it was a request, it was calculated as to what that would cost the township.
Okay.
So all of the items that we discussed had a cost, it was assigned to it, and that was part of what we looked at as the cost of contract. So instead of doing them outside of the salary increase, we did it all as part of the cost of contract, which includes the salary increase. So
Okay.
3% is the cost of contract, for the salary increase portion of that is 2.5%.
I'm writing this down. Okay. My first and second problem was, number one, I don't know if Jen already. Exhibit A was not included when you put this up. All it was the letter that stated this was for 4 years, all right? Now, I know she doesn't put it up. My question is, why not? You've got a contract going out to the public, all you have to do, it's only 3 pages, why would not include what's being changed in the contract for the public, for people like me and George, to see, rather than have to go back to get another copy of it? It's not a big thing, why not include it? Because where in anything, even in this, does it say the cost of the contract was 3%? I read the whole thing 3 times, and it doesn't say anything about 3%, so if she didn't mention 3%, we'd all be thinking 2.5%. So my first question is, why isn't it included? Why isn't an exhibit like that included on the website for people to see?
As this has been asked and answered, but I'm happy to do that again, what we have always done is the packet that includes the resolution, and any kind of backup can be required by any resident at any point in time, and we're happy to provide. We've not put that up on the website as part of the overall PDF of the council meeting packet. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's my problem. That requires an additional visit to Town Hall to pick up that information that could easily be put on the website.
Or a phone call. We've faxed, we've
Phone call?
emailed.
You're gonna phone call? I don't have a fax machine. You're gonna read to me over the phone?
Well, you have an email. I've emailed you things.
Yeah. My suggestion would be you put it on. Secondly, how many employees are covered by this contract, roughly?
120?
120? Okay, so it's
231. My bad.
how many?
231.
231
Correct.
employees
Yes,
go
it's
into
our
social.
largest bargaining unit.
So it's a big unit. Okay, 231. Okay. Can I ask how you arrived at the 2.5% pay increase? Was there any particular thing you looked at, cost of living or anything like that?
Everything they asked us to look at, we looked at. What they brought to us is what their members' concerns were, is what we looked at.
Okay. I noticed the contract was for 4 years. I don't recall contracts ever being more than 3 years. Why is this one 4?
We asked for the 4 years, just to make it a little easier on all of us not to have to go through negotiations any sooner than we need to.
Okay. Do you know financially what's going to happen within the next 4 years?
No, I do not.
I'm going to make a prediction. I'm going to make a prediction that after the legislature and the governor and the Commissioner of Education are finished raping the school budgets, they're going to come after yours, because that's the only other place they can get any money. I think that going out 4 years, not knowing anything at all about what's going to happen in the next 4 years, and you saw what happened with the school district this year, that you're putting the taxpayers at risk because you've got this burden of giving away 3% over the next 4 years. You could do it 3 years, and you could do it 2 years, you could do it 1 year. You sit down and do it again, but who's taking the hit on this? The taxpayers. Because you gave away a 4-year, you gave that money away for 4 years. And the other thing that I found, I wanted to question, not only did you give a contract for 4 years, but you froze the employees' contribution to their medical benefits.
Correct.
Now, you know and I know that medical benefits have gone up drastically every year. I sat in here and told you about, what we get for Social Security, which was totally wiped out by Medicare and the prescription thing. Yet, you agreed to freeze that when you know that's going to go up. Nobody stopped it. It's going to continue to go up for 4 years, but those employees, even though the cost is going to go up every year, and the taxpayer is going to have to pay that, the employees aren't going to feel that problem.
We did the calculation of what our health insurance increases have been for the past several years, and that was the number that we used to apply to the cost of contracts. So that number is reflected in the differential between the salary increase and the cost of contract.
I mean, the difference between 2.5% and 3%?
Correct.
You got a crystal ball, Joanne?
We took, what I said, Mr. Pinelli, is that we took the number that the health insurance actually went up over the past several years and averaged it out, and that's the number that we used.
So you're telling me that 1.5%
represents the 6% increase that we have experienced for the past several years for this particular bargaining unit.
So that doesn't make me feel any better, because what you said is you're just buying out any increases that medical or prescription plans go up. You just bought out any increases. Not only did you freeze, they don't have to contribute more money, but you're actually paying them an additional 0.5% for what? They don't have to pay. They're frozen. Medical costs go up. They got a 4-year freeze. Yet you're giving them more money to cover something that they don't have to pay for.
Well, it's an unknown, so it's clearly, we put math to it to make it more of a known number, but it's also an unknown for them, because health insurance may not go up 6%.
It doesn't matter. For the next 4 years, it's frozen. They don't have to pay any more than they're paying right now. That's what this says, right? So you gave them 0.5% more for something that they don't have to pay out of pocket. You froze, they don't have to pay more money for their benefits for 4 years, yet you're giving them more money to cover the cost of something they don't have to pay for. Am I nuts or what?
Can I explain it correctly?
Yeah, you're not following.
Okay.
They're not getting, that's not an extra 0.5% raise. It's the cost of the health insurance increase based upon the last few years of the increase coming out to whatever number it is over the next 4 years. So it's not more money in their pocket. It's less that they have to pay for the health insurance. It's not both.
No, I'm missing something here. I'm missing something, because their medical benefits are frozen. For the next 4 years, they don't have to pay any more, no matter what happens to the cost of benefits. They don't have to pay
And the cost to
more.
the township for that is 0.5% of this 4-year contract, yes.
All right.
The cost of that
Okay, so
benefit, so to speak.
Okay, so who's paying that?
That's part of the contract.
Who's paying it? Who's paying for it?
All of us.
Yeah, all the taxpayers. That's
Yeah,
my
but-
point.
That's my, yeah, so we
Yeah.
agree.
All right, we agree on that.
But they're not getting extra. You were saying they were getting a 5% extra.
I'll end this, because I understand what you're saying.
Okay.
Right? My medical benefits go up, right? Social Security, Medicare, whatever, or my backup plan goes up. I have to pay for that myself, right? And that's how I ended up with $2.70 a month for an increase in Social Security. I have to pay for that. Me as a person, and I'm one of those retired people that you talked about. I don't have a salary coming in, and a lot of other people in Brick don't. That whole family that you talked about, they don't have a salary coming in. So when my increase goes up, I have to pay it. Now, what you're telling me and what you negotiated in the contract, when their medical costs go up, I also have to pay that. And I really object to that. I think fair share and family all comes out to we all share the burden, not the taxpayers pay for an increase for somebody else and then pay for their own. I'm going backwards. My $2.70 just got ate up by you saying we're going to cover your benefits for the next 4 years. That's not right. I don't know why you would negotiate that if you're so concerned about the taxpayers. I
It's
got to
just-
pay
it's
my
just-
increase, they should be able to pay their increase.
It's just an overall cost of contract, whatever it wanted. Let's say they
understand.
wanted,
I
let's say
understand.
they wanted a gold pair of shoes, and it cost 3%. That's all they would get, is a gold pair of shoes, each
I
person.
understand that
So-
you put the price into the thing, but who's paying that increase? They are not, the taxpayers are. That's what I'm objecting to. How does this overall affect the budget, this contract? Have you done that yet? Is it going to cost an increase in taxes?
We haven't finished calculating our municipal budget.
I'll be back when you do. One other question. I noticed in the stipend section, you give out $250 stipends for certain things, right? And they have to apply to the job, and the employee has to apply for them, and it has to be approved. I understand that. But my question is, like, if you have a passenger CDL, are there people in the township that drive a bus?
No one has passenger endorsement at this time, so no one drives the bus for the
Oh,
township
so
of Brick.
that's not included.
We would like for it to be included, but we don't have anyone that is interested in pursuing
Because my
that.
question would be, if you're giving out stipends for requirements for a job, if you had somebody that you hired to drive that bus that you're talking about,
They would be required to have that endorsement to
They would drive.
apply for the job.
and you would give them a $250 stipend, even though having the CDL is a requirement to have that job. So isn't that kind of like redundant? You need a CDL to get this job, and if you have a CDL, I'll hire you to drive the bus. Then the contract says, oh, by the way, because you have a CDL, I'll give you an extra $250.
Well, the stipends were intended to encourage additional qualifications and certifications for the ladies and gentlemen that we have on staff that want to continue their education and have additional certifications that would therefore help the township. That was the intent of the stipends.
Okay. You understand my frustration, right? You understand what's going on in Brick Township right now. The mayor talked about family, 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 and I hear all those things, right? You understand what's going on right now, that the school board is in arbitration with the teachers' union because they can't afford to give out the kind of money that the union wants. Now, the taxpayers, your budget goes up, you know for the next 7 years, if nothing changes in the state right now, they're going to cut $44 million out of the school budget, and the only thing they can do is raise it to the max every 7 years, right? And if you're giving out pay raises like that and burdening the taxpayers on somebody else's medical costs going up, your budget's going to go up. Now, I'll be the first one to sit here when you come out with your budget and you tell me the budget's not going to go up at all. I'll be the first one to kiss your ring. Although, I've told you in the past, I'm not looking for the budget to stay the same. We are the highest taxed state in the country. I'm looking for the taxes to go down. When you negotiate contracts and you put the burden of somebody else's medical benefits on the taxpayer along with everything else, I think that's wrong. I think you're taking care of one part of the family, but you're really screwing the other part of the family. And that's all the senior citizens, those 85,000 people that are living in the township right now, that are trying to get along on what they got, and every time they turn around, it's a little piece here, it's a little piece there, it's a little piece somewhere else, and they know what they're looking at for the next 7 years. And I think you have to consider that when you give out contracts to people, what the citizens in Brick can afford and what is impacting them. It's not just this room. It's everything else. My speech is done. Oh, one other thing. Oh, you already covered that. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Ms. Call.
Thank you, Council President. I'm very happy to see again another female, although there wasn't much to choose from. It wasn't likely to be any of the two gentlemen that are in the same party, and it wasn't going to be anyone outside the party, no matter what. And in reference to the repartee I just saw, I want to raise my objection to the entire situation. This is supposed to be how we get the information about all these matters, and it should have been available in writing and I want to take, I can't think of the word in my senior moment, objection to Mrs. Bergen saying this is how we always did it. I have told you, and I don't see anyone here who in the year 2009, I believe it was, where we had the last completely Republican township government here, and the president changed how we handled meetings somewhere around March that year, if I were to recall. But of course, we've also changed how we keep records on meetings, and we get rid of them very quickly, so there's no proof of what happened. But I spent almost every month objecting to that president, changing it and doing away with the caucus meeting. And I've told you people that the caucus / public is not true. There is no caucus portion here. The caucus is to discuss in depth, and every one of us, oh, apparently somebody is very excited, happily, that I'm raising this objection with the smile I see. It is meant for us, and contrary to a lot of things that have been posted and something I read today, the majority of people in this township are not comfortable raising their voice in reference to being unhappy about how the town is being run and how the meetings are run. And they will not come because they have seen people be subjected to abominable behavior, which happened actually with Mr. Finelli. But I know he's got very broad shoulders, and he can take it. But most people in the town have told me from the first time that they recognized the sound of my voice, and I was in a supermarket and tapped on the shoulder because I was talking like I always do, chit-chatting. Somebody else want to come up and have the discussion with me also? I'd be glad to entertain it. And the woman said, "Are you the woman who speaks at the council meetings?" And I was sure I knew what was coming, and it wasn't going to be flattering. So I took a deep breath and I said, "Yes, I am." "Good, you keep it up. You speak for us." And I've heard that again and again and again. And most recently, it was two gentlemen that said, "You keep doing what you're doing. You're the only one out there speaking for us." Now, the truth is that, no, Mr. Mumbolo also appears to be pleased. Vic Finelli and George Scott, they know the numbers. That's not my forte. Well, it could be, but I don't have the time. There's too many other things. First thing I suggest that you do, Council President, because I admire you, is look into getting a professional parliamentarian to give you advice on running this meeting. The motion has to come and be seconded before you entertain allowing anybody on the council and anybody in the public to discuss anything. If you don't get a motion and a second, the matter is over. It's off the agenda. It doesn't pass. It fails. So that's the first thing I would suggest. Second of all, until you, as president, give the floor to somebody by recognizing them, they should never make a comment. This last exchange, I had no intention to come up here until I heard what went on. There was the business administrator and the chief financial officer speaking out from their assigned seats and talking without having been given the floor. This is a no-no in a proper meeting, and this is a more than proper meeting, or at least should be. Second of all, the chief financial officer offering to give the information to Mr. Finelli, and I've said this in years past, but I didn't harp on it all the time. No. He, like myself and George Scott and Mr. Sluka and Mr. Brill and Ms. Spector, we're speaking for the people of the town. The people want the information they're entitled to under open records, under freedom of information, and including Open Meetings Act, but mostly the first two. And that information should not be given to any one individual, and certainly not requiring any one of us to come to the township to sit down and get it. I suggest that everything that was in the discussion be posted on our township website and in full documentation of why Mr. Finelli was wrong in what he said, if he was, what it really meant on the taxes, and that it should be there for everyone in the town to see, and for everyone in the media to repeat in their papers, because many of the people don't ever watch these meetings. I'm not sure, are they on anything but YouTube now? And I use computers a lot. I've been using Microsoft back before it ever was available even to corporations, because it was part of my job when I worked for New York Telephone and then for NYNEX to validate how it worked and whether it worked well with our systems. So I know what I'm doing. But now we've gotten to the point where they keep putting out changes to all kinds of software without ever giving us instructions, and trying to get something that worked yesterday to work today is an impossibility. And the little old ladies that have learned to do Facebook can't figure out what to do when there's a change. So I suggest you do that. You give a press release to all the media that documents. And the mayor, I can't believe that he said, well, I wouldn't have done that many. And yet the statement leading into it was, this is the mayor's appointment. His name goes on it, not somebody else's. And if he didn't think that it was appropriate to have that many, he should have said, no, no, no. But most of all, and I'm just going to go back to the way it really was, we would have, and this goes back, it's since at least 2002, if not 2001, that a man in my community introduced me to attending council meetings, introduced me to Mayor Scarpelli, who thought I naturally was part of their party, since he knew this man was his team follower. It was something the man boasted about. So Mr. Scarpelli, Mayor Scarpelli, thought I was part of the team. Of course, I wasn't part of anybody's team because I'm an independent thinker, and I inform myself about facts. So we would have a caucus meeting, and it would be for however long it took for every one of us on the council and not on the council to understand what was going to be part of the agenda the following week. And then the following week, they used to go over, do it all over again until the Republicans took control and they said, oh, this is crazy, we did it all last week. So they did change that caucus meeting, public meeting, and they did a consent agenda, and they didn't go into as much depth because it had been done the week before. Then they changed it, and they didn't even have the caucus meeting. So we had complete information. This meeting is entirely too long because it covers too much. The list alone, trying to write down who the mayor's appointments were that now I understand he doesn't really believe in, and what Mr. Finelli tried to find out, and I agree with him. Number one, I'm a retiree. And in addition, it was 1986 that the management people in then NYNEX, today Verizon, had to start, well, they didn't actually pay anything those first couple of years, but we were told, if you have X amount of coverage, you'll continue. And for the time being, you will get exactly the coverage. Family plans, 100% of things, but you know the rates are going to go up. And when they do, you'll meet a point at which you don't have enough. So then you'll start picking up the tab. My husband was working for the Postal Service, and therefore he had federal employee program, and I went on his instead of the NYNEX. Today, my Verizon are supplementing the ones that I pay for in the federal employee plan. And every year, it goes up. The federal employees, and I'm not sure, someday I may get a straight answer out of Congress as to whether they pay anything towards theirs, but a lot of their staff have to pay. And we that are on Social Security, and yes, I'm fortunate, I have a pension. I'm not really in the same boat that the women in my community who never worked for wages, and their husbands were working and retired in 1965, and their wages were nothing like today. So these women are getting a pittance of Social Security and having to pay for their benefits, and worse, if you watch the television, they have to figure out, what's my best plan? This country is in a bad shape, and we better start having representatives who represent us, because currently, not here. I've asked many times, and I'll ask you again. Anyone want to say, who's my representative here for the local government and for the ones above you? I don't think anybody represents me. Certainly Bob Menendez and Cory Booker don't represent me. So I have nobody in the Congressional Senate. And the House of Representatives, the ones who do represent me, they don't have power. In fact, it's all a farce. It's the political action committees that get what they want. So let me tell you, I will be posting about this ridiculous farce that I saw take place tonight.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Mr. Foster?
Sam Foster, 108 Chico Drive in Brick. First, I want to make a comment. I want to ask either the council president or the attorney what the policy is regarding if a citizen sees some misconduct going on that is not appropriate for the council. What is the appropriate way for the citizens to bring it to the attention of the council president or the attorney? Specifically, when Nan Call was speaking, Harvey Langer was in the room and he was laughing and mocking her and popping pills, food or something in his mouth. Councilwoman DeYoung is up there. She's either smiling or smirking. I just don't think that's appropriate. And if you all remember what happened in August of 2018, when Heather DeYoung was the council president, we had an incident in which citizens are being heckled at the microphone. And it escalated to the point where I was assaulted as I was leaving. I don't want to see it happen again. But I just wanted to ask, for the record, for future reference, what is the proper procedure? Is the citizen allowed to interrupt the meeting by addressing the council president when they're in the audience, or what is the procedure? Because we can't have this continue to go on with people being, being insulted or heckled, or the rude behavior that I've seen tonight from Councilwoman DeYoung and Harvey Langer, both of which should know better, because Harvey Langer is a committee president of, I think it's the planning board or the Board of Adjustment, so they should both know better and know how to conduct themselves. Let me ask you this, if I could get a response from Mr. Kinley, the Township Attorney, or the Council President, because I don't want to see this escalate what happened in August when I was assaulted and several people were heckled. What is the proper procedure for bringing objection to the...
Well, I have to apologize, Mr. Foster, because I was listening very intently to what Ms. Call was saying, and I honestly didn't notice any of the other goings-on in the room. So I guess that's part of my schooling. I'm going to have to be a little bit more observant, and that's, I guess, what this is for.
No, I'm not.
But if council wishes to weigh in on that?
I wasn't trying to find fault.
No, and I'm not trying to make light of it either. I honestly didn't observe the things that you did.
I apologize if I put it inappropriately. I apologize.
I agree with the council president. I was paying attention to the speakers who've been up. I haven't noticed anything inappropriate.
Yeah, I did, and several other people did.
All of us are up here.
I understand.
If we saw something, I think we would
You can't be watching everything at once, but I just want to bring that to your attention. In the future, what is the procedure? Am I allowed to interrupt or approach you and say something to you about what's going on and point out to you, or what, I mean, after the meeting, sure, you could do that, but I'm talking about to prevent an incident like what happened in August of 2018, where there's heckling going on. Council President, at the time, DeYoung did nothing to stop it, and you were here that night.
If there's
and,
heckling going on, I would think the people up here will observe it.
Well, it didn't happen when Heather DeYoung was Council President. She allowed it to occur. I'm just trying to bring this to your attention so I can get an answer to stop an incident from occurring and escalating.
I think the answer is if no one up here observed what you're talking about today, so if something happened that was of a problem, I think.
Well, Mr. Kinley, I know that you with all due respect, I know that you observed what happened in August of 2018 because you're mentioning the police report of witnessing.
I don't know that.
I have the police report in which it was a report from you. So, I mean, you know, you can just say it, but I have it in writing from the police that you witnessed what happened. If you don't want to give me a straight answer, okay, fine. I can understand. I'll just bring it to the attention of the state of New Jersey. I just wanted to make this clear because, you know, we can't have this going on and we can't have situations escalate. Mayor Ducey gave a great speech about respecting everybody, but you know what's going on tonight and in the past hasn't been that issue hasn't complied with that. Anyway, I took up a lot of my time and I didn't really get a straight answer. I'm just going to make a couple points here. First, I agree with what Nan Call says about council meetings, caucus meetings. Tom's River has they have no caucus meetings either, but they're a lot better in putting information out to the public on their website, and I would hope that Brick Township would do a better job also. On issue 3, I just want to ask, and I've asked this before on the internet, about debt service. What report does anybody have in town from any financial industry, either private industry or government agency, that states that Brick Township's debt is too high and needs to be paid down? Can anybody give me an answer about that? Because it would seem to me, before you go spending taxpayer money to pay down debt, you would want to make sure that it's something that our money should be spent on, rather than doing something like having a tax cut, for example, spending the money on a tax cut. If you don't have any report, why are you doing it? You know, why are you paying down debt if there's no? I mean, I have to say I'm really disappointed tonight because I'm not getting any straight answers from anybody, not from Mr. Kinley or about a simple thing like whether or not you know, what the procedure is if someone is misbehaving during a council meeting, or if you can even give me a straight answer about what reports do we have from either a government or private industry agency that states that Brick Township's debt is too high and needs to be paid down. Can anybody please give me an answer about anything? Because I'm really getting frustrating. I really am. Anybody?
I mean, it just kind of goes with common sense, Economics 101 book. You can get it at any college bookstore. It's about your debt. So if you have a credit card and you have a $15,000 balance.
Mayor, with all due respect, I mean, I'm tired of dealing with politicians. They give me a headache. But really, seriously, the question I'm asking is, what report do you have stating that Brick Township's debt? You're talking about college textbooks? I'm talking about a report that has studied Brick Township's financial situation and has stated Brick Township's debt is X amount of dollars, and that's X amount of dollars too much, and it needs to be paid down in order for Brick Township to have a good financial situation in town. That's what I'm talking about, not college textbooks. Can someone please, what report do you have? It's available. Nobody.
I think one indicator of our financial wherewithal is our AAA rating as a township.
Which we had before you started paying down debt.
We have, right?
Which you had before you started paying down debt.
Well, debt is part of it.
No, it's not. We had before.
Well, it's not by the savings account or anything like that.
I understand it, but you're being very flippant here.
The
point is that we had a triple bond rating for years, way before any one of you were even involved in politics. When we had back when Democrats, Republicans, we've had the AAA bond rating, the highest that could be issued to a municipality for a long time before the debt was being paid down by President Ducey. Now, the question I'm asking is, what was the catalyst for this administration to have a policy of paying down debt when that money could have been spent, for example, giving us a meaningful tax cut? That's what I'm answering. What report do you have from any financial institution, I don't care if it's Dow Jones or Moody's or whoever, that says that we analyzed Brick Township's financial situation. Their debt is X amount of dollars over what it should be, and it needs to be paid down by X amount of dollars. Do you have anything like that? Because before you start spending taxpayer money, you should do it for a reason. That money, that taxpayer money spent paying down debt, Well, you looked at me with this perplexed look on your face, Councilman Halloran. I have to say, I don't understand.
Isn't your
Wonder
debt
what?
your taxpayer money too?
What?
Isn't the debt part
Yes,
of your
but that...
taxpayer money that they owe the
Paying
money?
down debt does not reduce my taxes. You're paying you're using taxpayer money to pay down debt.
We have an unusual circumstance this evening in that we have our CFO in the audience, and you can't see her, but behind your back, she's waving. I know the
understand
answer.
it, and I hope she'll give you a report.
Maureen,
rather
would you
than
like
someone's opinion.
Would you like to shed some light on this for Mr. Foster?
We have an annual debt statement that the township has to do. Is that better? Yes. Okay. All right, we have an annual debt statement that we have to prepare every year, and we also have our auditor in the audience that I see there. That's due every year, January 31st. That will give you the township's annual debt, the net debt. What I was trying to explain to Mr. Finelli, we have a debt service schedule that we have to pay for the different bond ordinances that I could show you an Excel spreadsheet for. And I think the way that our mayor is paying down the debt is by not increasing. He's had an 8.5 million, right, Mayor? 8.5 million capital budget for the past 5 years, I believe. So if you don't have a higher, if you don't go out for more debt, but you're still paying the debt, our net debt, with the debt service schedule payments that we have, that's how he's decreasing it. He's not. Yeah, sure.
Whatever you want to do, I don't really care. I don't really care. I don't know. It'd be up to the councilman. It's very simple. All I want to know is what reports from financial experts from state or private industry, not the township, but an independent agency that has stated that Brick Township's debt should be this amount in order to maintain a certain level of credit worthiness. Now, what I just heard is that we have a AAA bond rating. Sure, we've had that before we started paying that debt. If we had like a B or even a triple or a single A or whatever bond rating, then I could understand. We have to impetus, I believe it was, I don't know what the word is, but when you the incentive for paying down debt would be to raise our bond rating. But since we're already at the highest rating already, why is this administration taking our taxpayer money and instead of applying to a reasonable, a worthwhile tax cut, instead of the small amount that we did receive that 1 year, why is it being diverted to pay down debt when there is no reason for doing it because there's no financial reason to do so? That's what I'm trying to say.
Maureen, may I ask you a question? It's my understanding that the debt service that we are statutorily obligated to pay each year is a part of our budget. So the higher the debt service, the bigger the budget.
Okay,
So
I thank you.
the-
I thank you.
That's why we want to bring the debt down. When you bring the debt down, the debt service comes down.
Okay, now
and that has an impact on our budget.
I thank you for that, because that's the first time in years that I've gotten a straight answer, because up until now it's just, my head spins from this, says that, but you don't really get to the core issue of what I was talking about. I apologize, because all my time is used up, and I don't want to infringe on anybody else's. I do apologize. I should have taken some of these issues up with public comments, which I will. Sorry about that. Too much coffee today.
Anyone else on the resolutions? Yes, ma'am, in the back. I'm sorry, I don't know your name.
Hi, my name is Gina Markopol. I'm from Brick. I'd like to go back to what Mr. Fosman mentioned before about why no one pulled the second motion on 1630 for alleged abuse. Anybody? Is everybody scared to say anything? Mr. Ducey?
So I'm just a guest.
Anybody? Second motions? Isn't that something that should be brought up if there's allegations of abuse? That's a very important topic. I'd like to know about it.
It's an anonymous letter that's sent in. There's nobody to ask the questions to what happened, or it's not sure why it's an anonymous. There's a reason for that, and that's the main reason.
That's why I want to call for an investigation. That's why we need that, to make sure this is not happening.
I would have thought someone would have at least made a second motion on it, second motion. I guess everybody's scared to say. Mm-hmm. Okay. Thank you.
Their contract was voted on, correct, Mrs. Bergen? No. They voted
No.
on that contract?
Mr. Minchin.
So I'd like to briefly say a few words in regards to that.
Could you
Oh, I'm
please
sorry,
state
John
your name and
mentioned,
address for the record? Thank you.
President of Local 220, I'm also a Brick resident. Letters sent anonymously usually don't carry too much weight. I feel like if there was abuse that was alleged as president, and I have my executive vice president here as well, one of us probably would have got wind of it if anybody had a problem. So I don't know how much merit that letter has in terms of, when I get an anonymous letter, I don't generally, I'll look into it, but, if somebody's not willing to put their name to it, chances are, it could be a political stunt. You just don't know. In regards to, what was the other point we were just talking about? Oh, what? Yes, and by the way, to answer Councilman Mumalo's point, the contract was overwhelmingly approved by my membership. So we appreciate consideration of the council to vote in favor of that resolution. And we're very grateful for your continued support of these union members and also township employees. As the mayor mentioned, we are one big family, and we take that to heart and very seriously, so thank you.
All right, Mr. Manchin, the other towns have, if you looked it up yourself, other towns have did investigation on anonymous letters, and they investigate the people involved and to straighten out everything, if there's anything that needs to be. A lot of people are in fear of retaliation.
Right. So is
Okay?
it possible
That's
that I
the
can get a
problem.
copy of this if you're alleging it came from?
I gave it to the clerk.
Well, I'm
If you
asking
want
you.
to get it from the clerk, that's up to you.
It's a public document. Any
Okay.
communication between the public and council is a public document.
so
So
I
at the very
will be-
least, you could file an OPA request, but I don't think, we could probably make that available to you without
Very good.
the OPA request.
Thank you.
So, okay. Anyone else on the resolutions? There's a gentleman in the back I'd like to call on first. I'll come back to you.
Robert Canfield. Given with this topic coming up with the contract and the alleged abuse going on, one thing I would say is if there is someone or something specific in the contract, or not contract, letter, pardon me, that was said, I know any company I've ever worked for, if you get an anonymous letter in HR, or if you send in an anonymous phone call, an anonymous tip, your name's not on it because, again, you're afraid of retaliation. It was treated just as if somebody had signed it, big letters, anything like that. So in my personal opinion, I would say it is something that should be looked into and something that should be investigated, just because any other company, even if it's anonymous, an email from a fake account, it is always looked into if there's specifics involved. So that would be my piece. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Call. And let me call Mr. Sluka first, because, Mr. Sluka.
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I just think you should pull that resolution for the 2 weeks. 2 weeks investigation to something as critical as that, where the taxpayers are really, again, I don't know much about this letter at all, and I would love to see it really investigated, not just pushed through for some reason or whatever reason. 2 weeks doesn't kill me, I hope it doesn't, and I presume it won't kill the council either, unless there's some legal requirement that has to be done before the next meeting, but I don't know if that's the case. And then the other thing is, I feel the pain just like Mr. Finelli, Mrs. Cole, everybody else who's retired, probably 1/3 of our citizens, of the constant increases in contracts when there's no more people. In the school district, there's less students, a combination of things. What I'm not looking for is to be able to say, hey, a 3% increase. I know when I worked, and the place where I did work, right now, any increases in things such as healthcare benefits and stuff like that is paid for by the employee either 100% or 50% on an increase, because private businesses work for somebody else and spend their own money, attack their stockholders' money, and they know that if they keep continuing spending money, eventually the company will fail. That's what will happen here if we continually spend or overspend on things like benefits, whether it's within the town, other contracts, stuff like that. We got to find a way to make us all share the burden. We are a family. Thank you.
Yes, Ms. Call.
Nan Carl, 18 Greenbrier Boulevard. And I'm not going to take a chance on remembering the woman's name correctly, but the resident who asked why it wasn't seconded or pulled. To begin with, her question was extremely valid, and it goes back to my telling you or advising you, get a professional parliamentary authority, not even from the state of New Jersey at this point. I'd be glad to give you the name of someone who may. He was for the federal government. If you read consent agenda, all matters listed under item consent agenda will be enacted by one motion in the form listed below. If discussion is desired on any matter, this item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. However, if you had a parliamentarian, a long time ago they would have told you, that means that the minute you go into the consent agenda, you have to ask the council first, the resident second, is there any item that you want further discussion than this little blurb that is written on the agenda? And then it should be pulled. So he didn't need a second technically, because it should have been removed based upon him saying, I want full discussion. Second of all, there's an awful lot around the whole country now about whistleblower protection. And the reason is because people are afraid to put their name there. And that does not mean that it shouldn't be investigated. It should be thoroughly investigated. Just because one person made an accusation and not to be pushed aside as that was. And on a personal note, Mr. Mention is a union steward or delegate or some such. Well, we the people pay the bill. And if he's going to be involved in contract negotiations, we should be there to hear every bit of it and raise our voices in objection to paying the increase they're demanding. And I cannot imagine in this environment with all the talk about money and budgets and not having a proper budget in place and the school having their money pulled from them, that anybody is allowing, instead of a 3-year contract, a 4-year contract. Let me tell you, unions were the death of Eastern Airlines. Unions at one time thought that they won out over New York Telephone, but the rank and file lost on that. And today, there's very few union members working for the entire Verizon conglomerate. They are basically contract workers. And in my time, A lot of the management ones, before they went to the union, down to the union people, were contract employees who were from Russia, from Nigeria, from India, and you see where we are today, made in China.
Thank you. Anyone else on the resolutions? Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Abstain on 1630, and yes to the rest.
Councilwoman Pontarera.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Abstain 415 and 423, and yes to the rest.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Item number 39, manual bill resolution.
Be it resolved by the Township Council of the Township of Brick that the following bills be paid, and that the mayor and clerk be and are hereby authorized to draw orders on the treasurer for the amounts of the same. Manual bill resolution in the amount of $5,155,000.22.
Thank you. Open to council. Seeing none, close council. Motion and second, please.
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilwoman Pontarero, seconded by Councilwoman Zapsik. Open to public. This is on the manual. I'm sorry, Councilwoman DeYoung. Open to public on the bill resolution only. Seeing none, close public. Roll call, please.
Councilman Fosman.
Yes.
Councilwoman Pontarero.
Yes.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Yes.
Councilman Mumolo.
Yes.
Councilman Halloran.
Yes.
Vice President Crate.
Yes.
President Zapsik.
Yes.
Thank you.
We are now at public comment. Madam Clerk.
Please note that each person addressing the council during any section of the meeting during which public comment is permitted shall limit his or her remarks to 5 minutes pursuant to Brick Township Administrative Code, Section 2-33B.
Thank you. Public comment. Mr. Foster.
Okay, Sam Foster, 108 Teagle Drive. I'm going to pick up where I left off at the consent agenda, since I did spend a lot of time trying to get an answer on one thing here. All right, I went over the debt thing already. I mentioned already Tom's River. I'm going to get that out of the way. I wanted to bring up item 30 that Councilman Fosman was good enough to bring to our attention about the complaint. I want to know, if I can get an answer from Township Attorney, since this is a legal issue, I feel he would be appropriate one to answer, what the legal repercussions are for item 30 on the consent agenda to go forward if that anonymous letter that Councilman Fosman received results in legal action. And the reason why I'm asking is because look at what happened with the I understand it might be a little bit different because the issues that people that I'm going to mention were not anonymous, but I remember the Board of Ed with Mr. Ozinski and how he was fired from that, and although that was a criminal charge, and then he had the indictment dismissed and all that, was on it with everything that went on with Prosecutor Coronado. Since they're women president, I won't describe him any further, but and now he's suing the township. He's suing for, I think, national newspaper is going to sue for $20 million, something like that. There's also, we all remember the Supreme Court Justice hearings in Congress regarding, or Senate actually, Mr. Kavanaugh. I apologize if I'm addressing him using the wrong term. I don't mean any disrespect to him, but he was again, that was an accusation made against him by named people. And of course, Governor Murphy has one of his. There's a lawsuit now by, again, a woman who was named person, and going back to during his campaign or something like that. What is our liability from the Township of Brick if item 30 goes forward and legal action results from this letter that Councilman Fosman received as far as, I'm thinking about township money, my taxes, they keep going up year after year, and I just want to know if this is going to, if this results in a loss, if this could result in a lawsuit for us, because if this goes forward. And I wondered if Mr. Kinley could give an answer to that.
Mr. Foster, my role is not to provide advisory legal opinions to people who stand up at the microphone. Don't take offense to that, but that's not my
I'm
role
not asking
here.
for my opinion.
Well, you're asking me to give you an opinion on an advisory question.
Well, it involves the township.
No, my role is to advise the mayor and council, not to give
But you're the
legal
township
opinions.
attorney.
My role is not to give legal opinions, advisory legal opinions, based upon hypotheticals to people at the microphone. I do try and answer legal questions when they come up, but you're asking
Mr.
an
Kinley,
entirely hypothetical question.
I'm
What the
basing it on
council has
Councilor
voted on-
Fosman's.
What the council has voted on and passed is a resolution to approve a contract. And what you're referencing is a letter where someone is complaining about employees involved in that. One, I haven't thoroughly reviewed the letter. Two, it's an anonymous letter. But the simple fact is the issue before the council was a resolution to approve a contract that was negotiated with a collective bargaining group and ratified by that collective bargaining group before it came to the council. So could someone file a legal matter? People can file suits over anything. Any attorney will tell you that. People can file frivolous lawsuits and they can be held accountable for that. But I have no idea what basis anyone would have to take legal action based on what I understand the issues to be. I don't even see anything that would be a basis for legal action. The simple fact is they were voting to approve a contract, they approved it. And that was approved by the union as well. So it's a contract.
Okay, I just want to make it clear, I'm not asking you for any opinion of mine. I don't want any, no disrespect to you, but I don't want your opinion on any legal issue. I don't mean that to be insulting, but I have my own legal research I've done, I'm not going to mention any pending lawsuits, but you know what I mean. And I just wanted to clarify that from the position of taxpayers in town. And I remember when we had prior administrations that were run by Republicans, and we had Democrats come up here and make complaints about, anonymous complaints and including the news media. But I'm going to drop that subject because it's minor. It's just something I want to bring to your attention. And I'm disappointed tonight because I haven't get very straight questions. There goes my time again. I just want to make one point, and that is to Mayor Ducey, I just want to say about his opening comments, I do thank him for them because he did seem to be conductive towards trying to have better situation in town that exists with, as opposed to prior council meetings in which we had council members standing down here at the microphone, maybe not attack might be too harsh a word, but criticizing each other. And I just wanted to thank him for that. It's, I hope that people take that to account. And I just wanted to say that Mayor Ducey mentioned about how one of the reasons why people move out of the state of New Jersey is because of things like taxes and things. But I just wanted to remind him that another reason why the people move out of New Jersey is because of the corruption problem that exists here. And I would hope that the year 2019 would have these council meetings be more conductive towards showing respect towards citizens that speak at the microphone, so we don't have repeats of what happened in 2018 when Councilwoman DeYoung was here. And I have to tell you, we're not starting off on a good foot. I mean, I saw Heather DeYoung sitting up there, and she does this when she was a council president, smirking, and Harvey Langer is sitting in his seat over there. And as I said, there's no excuse for this because both of them are members of this administration. They should know better. Harvey Langer runs the Board of Adjustment or Board of Planning Board. I don't know what it is, but they should know better. It's time for people to, that's why I mentioned what the procedure is if a citizen sees inappropriate conduct. I didn't really get a straight answer, and I have to tell you that this is not something that's making me feel very confident about how meetings are going to be run in the future. I don't mean any attack on you, Councilwoman Zapsik. I've always had a high opinion of you, and I mean that. I've always had a very high opinion of you, and I like you personally. You're a nice person. But I just hope that people will take to heart Mayor Ducey's comments and try to remember why you're up there. And also, well, I'm not going to, I'm just going to leave it at that. I just hope that in the future we can have better meetings in which people's rights are respected and citizens get straight answers, and leave it at that. Thank you, and congratulations on your appointment. I think it's well deserved. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Foster. Who's next? Mr. Sluka?
John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. I'm going to read my letter dated December 31st. Mayor Ducey, Council President at the time, Did Young, and all council members and all employees and the people of Brick. New Year's Eve and seemingly nothing is done to correct the health issues created by the commissioners of the New Jersey Turnpike Authority. The commissioners of the authority ignored the facts and authorized those natural barriers surrounding the Garden State Parkway to be destroyed. The big money contributors reap the profits of their patronage to the commissioners, while the commissioners continue to allow toxins from the Garden State Parkway to harm our children as they breathe in the toxins at the bus stops each day. A 14-foot or higher wall is needed in Evergreen Woods, Primrose Gardens, Lanes Mill School District, Greenbrier, Brick High School, the Town Hall, and many other areas of Brick. If you live or go to school or work within a third of a mile of the Garden State Parkway, you are at risk. In addition to the wall, thousands of trees that were destroyed by the Garden State Parkway expansion need to be replaced. Study upon study proves the NJTA commissioners are killing our residents. If the commissioners and the political class are not receiving kickbacks through donations, future job expectations, and other financial and strategic appointments, they are not thinking clearly for themselves, but by the lack of action they have taken during the past 6 years, it seems they must be receiving some kind of compensation. It appears that almost no interest is given to the pregnant mother-to-be, who by now may have an autistic child, or to the ills or the asthmatic children as they struggle to breathe each day. Basically, no physical signs of involvement are shown by politicians as the seniors of the community with COPD and heart ailments meet an early demise. It is easy to just sit back and crow about attendance at store openings, a new civic center, a high school team's success, but it's a hard task of standing up against big government bureaucracies, the big business interests, and the big union cabals. And this is the caring, instead of caring for the public welfare. And isn't that why school boards, town councils, mayors, county and state representatives, whether they're paid or unpaid, actually ran for office? If a person ran for office, whether they won or lost, shouldn't they stay and back the people who are mistreated by the likes of the highly influential bureaucracy it tries to run over our citizenry? At council meetings, I have read from many studies about the ill effects of the auto and truck emissions on the lives and the well-being of our citizens. The Board of Education president once asked, "What can I do to help?" And despite some suggestions, nothing seemed to have gotten done. A few council members over the past years have asked, "What can we do?" or "What should I do?" And even the mayor tonight asked today, "What should I do?" But when told, they continually just sit back and leave it up to the mayor and the staff to let the commissioners harm and kill the citizens. On a rare occasion, the mayor or staff may write a letter or speak to a so-called interested party about the problem, but what actions have truly been taken? The mayor should be speaking out against the New Jersey Turnpike Authority to newspapers, TV stations, social media, and I would expect the council members and Board of Education members to step up and speak out against the Turnpike Authority as well. And they should support the mayor in a yet-to-be-initiated lawsuit to protect the residents and not just leave it to someone else to do the right thing. A few years back, a couple of council members proclaimed it's too early to call on the NJTA commissions because they would do the right thing in time. It's 6 years. It's well past time. This has not happened, and our people are getting sicker, and seniors are dying prematurely, whether they believe it or not. While these council members have moved on, some of these council members have moved on, and nothing continues to get done. I expect to continue to read from the hundreds of studies that have been published in the U.S. and abroad, but the bureaucrats ingrained in our government's high echelon should not take the easy way out and ignore the problem. Our elected officials must fight for the citizens of Brick. We need that 14-foot wall and brush and trees in Primrose Gardens, around Brick High School, Evergreen Woods, and other areas. I would like to say the time is now to act, but it's well past that time. It's years past that time. Let's act. Thank you for your time. I yield back 7 seconds.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Finelli?
Couple quick questions. Number one, I heard Mr. Fosman say that the letter that he received was addressed to all council members. Did any other council members get it?
We all received it.
You all received it?
I did not.
When did you receive it?
I did not.
You did not. Everybody else did?
I did.
You did? Okay. And I heard the attorney say that he hasn't had a chance to look at the letter, correct?
Correct.
Why is that?
I don't review every piece of paperwork that comes into the town.
I understand that. I also understand that several council members here received an anonymous letter that said there was some issue going on in the township. It sounded like a legal issue. I don't know what somebody sues or anybody else, but it certainly sounded like somebody should at least look at it and say, we don't have to worry about that.
As I understand it, the bargaining unit ratified this contract. It was not unanimous by the bargaining unit, and apparently maybe some disgruntled members of the union wrote an anonymous letter in to complain. That is probably not enough to derail approval of a contract.
That's a rather large assumption on your part, isn't it? Seeing as how you haven't reviewed the letter?
Could be.
Yeah. I would think that even...
It's an anonymous letter.
Understand an anonymous letter, understand it's accusing things, it might be totally BS, I don't know, but at least as the attorney, you shouldn't make assumptions about it unless you at least looked at the letter. I don't want people held up for their pay raises. I'm not somebody to say, hey, push this thing back and don't get these people paid. And you still have time to review it and come back and say that there was something. But for you to say you haven't looked at it and it was probably some disgruntled union, as a union president, I stand up and say that's BS too. Right? You don't know that. So you really should look at the letter. Number two, just to get on public record about this debt service, and so I understand, I'm still going to show up tomorrow and pick up the paper, but just to make sure I understand what's being said. There's two ways to reduce your total debt. One is to not add to it, and the other is to pay it off. What I think I'm hearing today is that somebody has made a financial decision this year to pay off a bigger part of the debt service by paying off $15 million. Is that correct? Sure. Come on up.
Yeah. Yes, Maureen,
Come on up.
please.
I'd just like to get this resolved, so anybody that can resolve it is okay with me.
Yeah, that's by all means.
I want to make sure I'm heard, right?
Yes.
Okay. The debt service is, we don't just make up and say, okay, we're going to pay $15 million. When you come in tomorrow to see me and speak about this, I will show you that we have what's called debt service scheduled payments. And that is what adds up what we have to pay for in this year's budget.
And who gives you that number?
That's done, I'll show you tomorrow. It's a debt service schedule. It's a legal document.
It comes from who?
When we go out for the bond ordinances, it's done. When we go out for bonds.
Okay.
So I will be happy to show it to you. I have a whole Excel spreadsheet to show you. It's not what the mayor dreamt up to say we're going to spend this amount of money this year. It's what we're legally have to pay this year.
You understand what Mr. Forster was asking? Mr. Forster was saying, is there somebody telling you that there's too much debt and you have to pay a bigger piece of it off? And the answer to that is no, you don't have too much debt. You're well within the parameters of that. Yet this year, we're paying more debt off than we paid in the last 20 years.
2017.
Yeah, that's 17, but I'm looking at every time this number went down, this number went down. This number went down again. We're down to $145 million in debt that we're carrying, yet we're paying off this year the biggest number that we ever paid off, $15 million.
That's what our debt service schedule we have to pay. That's what it is. That's what we have.
But you don't want to tell me where that debt service schedule came from. Where did you get it from? Did somebody give it to you? Did somebody make it up? You
well-
got a document that
She
says
just
you gotta
said
pay
it's
this.
in the
Where did you
bond
go?
ordinances when we
When we
pass
borrow the
it.
money, there's a schedule of when those payments have to be made.
Okay, so, all right.
It's kind of like your mortgage payments. So there's and I'm not a financial person, I'm like really
But I think
testing the
you're
gray
getting-
matter
I think
here
you're
from my
getting- I think
finance
you're
class,
getting
but when we borrow the money,
When we borrow the money, there's a bond ordinance.
there's a schedule that tells you when that has to be paid. So those bonds are now coming, they're coming due for payment, correct?
Okay, all right, I got it. So the debt service is based on the bonds, and the bonds tell you when you have to pay the money. So it just so happens that
Debt
the
service
bonds are
tells you
telling
when
you.
you have to pay the money.
Okay.
But I'd be happy to go
That's
into more
good. No,
detail when you
I
come in to see
understand
me
that.
tomorrow.
I understand that.
And I
It's
think
based
you'll
on the
understand it a lot
schedule of
better.
the bonds. That's what I was trying to get. Where was this coming from? It's in the original bonds. When you negotiate the bonds tell you when you have to pay the money back.
Precisely.
You are a financial.
I get the gold star for the
You
day?
made me understand. One last question. Thank you.
You're
Thank you.
welcome.
I'm going to sleep better tonight. Is the last question, is the police contract due this year, law enforcement?
It expired on December 31st.
Okay. I noticed that wasn't on the agenda. So I'm going to make an assumption that we're still negotiating that. You don't have to answer that. That's my assumption. So what we're looking at now is a bigger bond payment because the bonds say we have to pay more. We're looking at a contract for 231 employees that's going up by 3% total. And inside that, we still don't have the police contract, which is probably going to be the biggest one. Correct? We're still negotiating the police contract, which, if we're still negotiating it, there's got to be some in there that people are not agreeing on. I can't wait to see the budget presentation. I can't wait to see how the taxpayers in Brick are not going to take it on the chin this year. And you're smiling, and I hope I'm smiling when your budget presentation, and I hope you know something that I don't know, and just as I wasn't, I won't pick out any names, but when Mr. Foster was up here, I didn't see people making faces when Nan Cole was up here, but when he was up here, I was looking real hard, and I saw a council person smirking and shaking their head when he was up there. So it does go on. Right? I won't mention any names, but it does go on. Maybe subconsciously, I don't know, because sometimes I sit back there and shake my head too, but I'm not up here where everybody can see me. Again, Mr. Mayor, we are all family here. You know what's going on in the state. You know, this, in the past week, they talked about the amount of people that are moving out of New Jersey. There's much more than the amount of people that are moving into New Jersey. You know that college kids don't come back to New Jersey because they can't afford to stay here. And as a homeowner and a taxpayer and everything else, we're getting nickel and dimed everywhere. Everything is going up, 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 and up. And I'll say this again, it is not fair, it is not just, it is not what a family member would do if I have to pay for my medical increases out of my pocket, and then I have to turn around and get somebody else who's getting a salary, and I have to pay for their increases in their medical benefits too. We're going backwards. They're going forwards, and we're going backwards. And that is not sustainable. That ain't going to work. It just, sooner or later, you're going to be, I mean, you talk about all of those houses that haven't been rebuilt and the money that we're losing on the ratables. You ever wonder why? People with a big piece of property and they don't rebuild their house. Why? Because they can't afford it. They can't afford the taxes. They can't even afford the construction permit stuff and everything else that goes on. It's ridiculous. If George was here, he'd tell you, I just spent over $15,000 in permits just to put up a house. You got to look at the whole picture. You can't look at the happy family here. You got to look at the 87,000 people that you were talking about. And right now, I don't think anybody's doing it. I think we're taking the easy road out. A negotiation is a negotiation, and you go negotiate and you give and take. It seems to me, my opinion, was all give and no take. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Helga Brannick, 777 Baltic Drive in Brick. So I wanted to discuss the flooding situation in Cedar Bridge Manor, and all prior efforts to address this situation in the past have been futile. So I live on Baltic Drive, and we also have flooding. Well, so I'm a little nervous, sorry. So when it rains, when we have the heavy downpours, we tend to get some nice buildup of water on Baltic Drive that comes down from Barberry. And on Barberry, it can become waist height. So if you go back to 2014, I was in contact with Kenneth Schaefer, who was in the engineering department. I honestly don't know if he is in Brick anymore. So we had gone back and forth and emails. He had come out to my house to discuss the situation. So the township went in and they dug up the trees and so forth next to the pumping station. So I don't know if anyone's is familiar with it. And they exposed the runoff pipe. So when the water comes up, it goes into the sewage and then it runs out and then it should go out into the water. So that does tend to get overgrown, and I have called the township on occasion. And they come and they cut down the weeds because, like I said, they knock down trees and then they put rocks there. In either case, the situation has gotten worse. They have come on occasion to clean out the storm drains, but once again, when it rains really heavy, you can get waters up to waist height, and we can't get to our homes. So, and it is becoming increasingly difficult for the residents in Cedar Bridge Manor, in that area. So I would like to request an engineering evaluation from the township.
Yep, that's easy enough. We'll just let Alyssa know tomorrow. Send her the information.
Okay,
The
so
Baltic.
could someone be in touch with me as a representative from Cedar Bridge Manor?
Sure, if you'd like. Oh, she's here.
Where?
I'm sorry.
Okay, beautiful.
I didn't
So
realize
we'll
she was
talk.
here.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Mr. Sluka?
See if we can grab back 20 seconds. John Sluka, 950 Sylvia Court. The only reason I'm mentioning this is in private businesses, one of the things you mentioned about the police union not signed yet and contract ran out December 31st. Most private industries now say it's a waste of union time, a waste of management time, trying to get together. They have a rule that pretty much says that any kind of contract negotiation, when they finally agree and sign it and everything else, that's the date the contract goes into effect. There is no retroactive pay going back months, because when we used to do that, we'd have 4, 5, 6 months. Now, we have 0 time left over, and we save a lot of money of taxpayers' money just by having our employees not have to spend all that time doing stuff like that. Thanks for your time.
Thank you. Anyone else for public? Mr. Canfield?
Just wanted to say congratulations on being president, Madam Vice President. One thing I did want to piggyback off of is just kind of a suggestion. I know they had been talking about parliamentary order, everything like that. I'll be the first one to admit I am the furthest thing from a parliamentary professional. I can barely say the words. But maybe it's something we should look into, is maybe having a couple people volunteer for the meetings, have a rotation or something of nobody who's involved with the council, just regular people like them, to be able to have a basic understanding of how the rules of order work. There is a book out there somewhere, I know. Probably find it at Barnes & Noble or Amazon, probably Amazon. She's got several, she's saying, so maybe if we can get a few people together, maybe go over what are the rules of order, how does parliamentary order work, and have people who, if there's an issue of someone being heckled or something, being able to step in and say, okay, this is out of order, we need to come back to order, Madam or Mr. President, please restore order. Something like that. I think that's how it works. Again, I'm not a professional, but I like problem solving, so that's my suggestion for you. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else for public comment? Yes, sir.
Alex Markapole, 461 Duke Court. I just wanted to know where we would be able to get a copy of the letter that was sent to Mr. Fosman, if it's something that...
You can get it from the clerk.
All right.
If she has copies.
Okay, because I know some people that will be interested in seeing it, even though they're not. Also, Mr. Mayor, I think you would have a lot more respect if some of your council members actually paid attention. The same things I've noticed, this is my first meeting tonight. Heather hasn't looked at one person up here, hardly all night. And the same thing goes with Harvey Langer for the zoning board meetings. Same thing.
Anyone else for public comment? Seeing none, close public. Okay, council comment. Councilman Fosman.
Thank you, Council President. This letter I spoke about during the consent agenda vote talks about such a severe toxic work environment that I am asking the Council President to prepare a rice notice to be given to any employees named in this letter so that it can be discussed thoroughly in a closed or open session. In order to provide the residents with transparent and honest government like the mayor and council likes to tout, an internal investigation must take place. If the internal decisions or investigations do not proceed, the council should retain an independent outside investigator. That's what should occur. And on a lighter note, Department of Public Work retirees are as follows. Mike Bonaverto, Sanitation Recycling Driver Class 1, Greg Brower, Laborer 1, Ed Burns, Sign Maker 2, Anthony Ferrelli, Equipment Operator, and James Stapleton, Sanitation Driver. They all retired this year. And congratulations to the Council President and Vice President, and congratulations to the various appointments of boards, committees, and professionals. Thank you.
Councilwoman Pontoriero.
Thank you, Madam President. First, I want to say congratulations to our new President and Vice President. I have full faith and confidence that they will both do an excellent job during the next year. I also just want to point out that there's only one employee named in the 2.5-page letter that's referred to this evening. So if there's rights notices, we're talking about one person. Thank you to our color guard who came out tonight, and let's remember that each and every one of the gentlemen who came out this evening were people who represented our country and gave us the democracy that we see at work this evening. Don't forget, you may not have to agree with each and every voice that you hear tonight up at the dais or at the podium, but this is how democracy works, and I am so thankful that we live in a country that gives us such freedom, and I thank the men and women of our country who risk their lives to give us that freedom. I also wanted to take a second to thank the efforts of Deacon Bill Zapsig for a wonderful introduction and prayer. I believe that it's important to begin meetings like this with a remembrance of how important our jobs here, and your statements about taking a moment to reflect on the words that we're speaking and how important it is to take our job seriously and remember what we're doing it for. Those words weren't lost on me, and I know that they weren't lost on my fellow council members, so I thank you. The kindness that Mayor Ducey referred to in his statements this evening, I believe were really embodied by one special person who's joining us this evening, and her name is Angelina. And she's a very special girl. and I am thankful to consider her one of my dear friends. She really embodies what it means to be purely kind, wanting nothing in return, and giving so freely of herself that it's my hope and prayer that someday I can grow up to be as kind as she is in the future. Very last, I just wanted to give everybody an update. I've gotten so many cards and phone calls asking about my health. I am happy to report that as of today, my biopsy has come back negative, which is positive. So, so I am so thankful for the prayers of everyone who have led me to continue to be cancer-free at this point. With that, thank everyone so much for coming out. And there is a Neighborhood Watch meeting, and that is on the 9th, which is tomorrow. And it's for the Laurelton Gardens area at their clubhouse at 12:30 in the afternoon. So 12:30 in the afternoon if you're part of the Laurelton Gardens area. And don't fret if you see this on TV and say, oh, that date passed. Go online or make a phone call to Town Hall, and they will tell you how to get in contact with the Laurelton Gardens Neighborhood Watch, so you will be a part of it. Thank you.
Councilwoman DeYoung.
Thank you. First off, I would like to thank the council for letting me serve as council president the past year. It was quite a learning experience, and there were moments that I loved and some not so much, but that goes with the territory of being up here and doing what is right for Brick. I agree with the mayor that we are a family here in the town, and that starts here, obviously, in Town Hall, as he said. We have the best employees who I appreciate for all of their hard work, and no matter what anybody has said tonight, we all have heard from residents throughout the town that they are making a difference daily in making Brick better. So thank you very much to all of you. I want to wish Council President Zapcic all the luck on her tenure. I know with all of her knowledge of municipal government, she will not have any problems leading this council. So good luck and thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Mumolo.
Congratulations, Council President. You do a great job, I'm sure.
Thank you.
And also congratulations, Vice President. Great. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilman Halloran.
Thank you, newly elected Council President. I'd just like to congratulate you. I know you'll do a fine job. It's sometimes challenging, but I know you're up for it. And certainly Councilwoman Crate and now Council Vice President Crate. Once again, actually. Yeah, you're getting good. You're always a bridesmaid. Okay. You're going to be an old hand at this, and I know you'll do well, and both of you will lead us on. So I appreciate it, and thank you. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Council Vice President.
Congratulations, Council President Zapcic. I'm delighted to serve with you, really. I want to say also thank you to all the employees here in Brick. I couldn't echo Councilwoman Spontorero and Councilwoman DeYoung's words any better. We're really so fortunate to have the best employees here in this town, and I hear all the time from citizens and my neighbors about how much they love our DPW and our Parks Department and our Police Department and everyone else that they have to deal with here in town. We're very fortunate that we have, you know, generally happy people that like to go out and meet with our citizens and work with them and try to make the town better, so I feel very fortunate to work with you as well. I do want to just say for 2019, I'm looking forward to working more with the community. I did a few things last year to bring the community together, and I plan on continuing that work this year, so I'm looking forward to some new projects that we'll be working on with maybe the Parks Department and DPW, and I'm really, you know, looking forward to making 2019 great. And I wanted to just point out from 2018, I said that I would mention each month the photo contest participants that will be on display each month. So as you walk by the display, as you're leaving this evening or when you're here during the day, you know, doing business, The photos that are on display this evening or this month for January were taken by Patricia White, Tanya Montgomery, and Alexis Brennan, and they're all quite spectacular, and they're just in the display case outside. So try to stop by and take a look at them before you leave this evening. Thank you all for coming out. I know it was a long meeting, but we appreciate your time, and I hope you have a great week.
Thank you. And while I appreciate the congratulations and kind words of my colleagues on the dais, I totally blew it in my first meeting and skipped the mayor's table and the clerk's table. So, Ms. Bergen, anything you would like to say tonight?
Nothing, thank you.
Mayor?
I spoke at the beginning, but just, if I didn't have a track record of what the spending was in town, I could understand people saying, oh, you're doing too much, but the track record is, it's five years in, spending's gone up only 3%. You compare that to prior year, 25%, compared to the 5 years before that, 18%. So there's a track record. So it's not something that's surprising. So we know what we have to do. We negotiate it. It was, approved by the union. That's what negotiations are. It's a give and take. Otherwise, we'd be in court on everything and costing the taxpayers a lot of money going to court. So, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Keneally?
Just congratulations to the council president, council vice president.
Thank you. Madam Clerk?
Thank you. Congratulations to both of you, women. I am hoping to have my annual rabies clinic this Sunday, the 13th, from 10 until 12 at the Drum Point Sports Complex, barring no bad weather. Thank you.
Congratulations to both of you.
Free. I didn't say it was free. It is free.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Madam Secretary?
Congratulations to both of you.
Thank you.
Look forward to working with
So, thank you so much. Again, I really appreciate the vote of confidence of my colleagues on the council, and I hope I'm up to the challenge of this job. Thank you all again for your kind words. For about 20 years now, I've had a little plaque on my desk at work. It's followed me from job to job. The sentiment has never failed me, either in my personal life or my professional life. It's actually from Rotary, and full disclosure, I am not now, nor I have ever been a Rotarian, but I came across this, and it was something that I like. It's the four-way test, and the test asks the following questions. Of the things we think, say, or do, is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? As I said, it's never failed me any time in the past, and I hope that it will be something I can carry forward into the future. Our next scheduled meeting will be on Tuesday, January 22nd, here in this room at 7 p.m. We have a motion to adjourn.
Motion.
All in favor?
Aye.